Welcome to Dirksón Photography. Today I want to talk about the Canon EF 40mm f2.8 STM Pancake lens. It's this lens. I'm here on Amazon and it costs 189 euros. I found it on eBay for half the price, for 90 euros. And I took it to Spain and I have here now the images with it. 1,700 images taken on the EOS RP, most of them, and some on the 5 DSR. And in this video, I want to show you the images that you can take with this lens. So I've decided to show you the images here in Lightroom. So you really get an idea of how the images look like, and you also got the information. So mostly I shot at f2.8 to see, can I use it wide open, and also to see how the blurry background will look like. Can I get blurry background at all at f2.8? And it's actually a family trip. So my son here takes the images, the cameras on a tripod with the remote control. When he pushes the button here, the camera takes a picture, and the RP has face detection. So usually the face should be in focus when we push the button. Now he likes to push buttons, so he's the one taking the pictures. And you can take nice self-portraits with these modern cameras like the EOS RP. It's a really nice way. I'm here alone with my son and I like to have some images. Usually when I travel like this, I never have images with myself, which is a sad thing when you have 1,000 or 2,100 images from a trip and you are not in one of those images. So the remote control with the camera on a small tripod is a beautiful way to get some images like this. It's not always easy. Children don't always want to stay still, but sometimes you get some really nice shots. And so I want to show you the images and how they turn out with the EF 40mm lens. And I've decided to show you real images. I'm not going to show you many images of the lens. You will find that in any other review. So I really want to show you what you can get out of this lens. I want to show you the blurry background, the bokeh, the sharpness, and also the settings here. So I'm usually shooting at ISO 50 or 100 because here in Spain is very bright, strong sunlight. So I don't need high ISO. And so I'm often at 1/4000th of a second shutter speed, because the light is just so strong here. Now you can use the lens also as a selfie mode, kind of. You turn the camera, turn it in your left hand far away and then push the button and you can even take a selfie with it. And the idea is to show you many images. This is all in COVID. We were in Spain visiting Anna's family. And so there are not many photo shoots I did other than family, and I took some self-portraits that we will take a look at in a moment. And I will just go through these images and talk a little bit about the image and image quality, and want to give you an impression of what you can do with this lens. Now I think the 40mm is overlooked in many ways. I think the 50mm 1.8 is a go-to lens when you go into prime lenses. So I started with the 51.8. That was my first prime lens. Still have it. I have 3 of those because when they fell down, they broke. But they are so cheap with 100 euros that it's easy to, and the image quality is so great that it's easy to buy it again. I also have the 50mm 1.2, which is more expensive, also really great lens, and the 35 1.4 art lens from Sigma. So there's really no need for me to buy a 40mm lens because I have 35 and 50. But I have a list in my head of gear that I always like to test. The 40mm just before it came out was really interesting to me because it is super small, it's super lightweight. You can see it here in the Amazon side. It's super small, super lightweight. I think it's 110 grams, which actually is the same as the 50mm 1.8. It's the same weight, but this lens is smaller, which makes it the perfect travel lens because when I'm here with family, girlfriend, son, when I walk out with my son, I already have a bag with clothes and underwear and food and drink for him. So having another camera bag with me is not really something that I like to have. I don't want to go out with my son and a big camera bag. So having the Canon EOS RP, which is already a small camera, and combine it with the 40mm lens, which is a very small and lightweight lens, I think it's a really great travel combination. A full frame camera with a beautiful look, great image quality, but the weight of a very small compact camera kind of, but with beautiful image quality. So here you see some more images that I took of Anna on the beach, and I think the images got a really nice look, nice quality to them. I wasn't really missing anything from my other lenses that I can open up much broader, like a 50mm 1.2, 35mm 1.4. I can get much more blurry background, but you can also get really nice blurry background with this one when you get closer. So I'm standing here, I think it's a beautiful image here, nice blurry background at 2.8. I mostly shot at f2.8 to see for myself, do I get blurry background. Now talking about images, for example, let's take a look. I can turn this back. So this is the unedited image. I can just edit pretty quickly here, just do small changes and leave it at that, maybe like this. Or I can use one of my presets here, and this is what I always like to do. I think Napoli is a nice choice. I think it's the one that I chose for these images here. So I can undo everything, click on Napoli, and then the image is kind of finished. And this is how I edit my images. I don't have to do this for every image. I just choose one image and then copy the look to all the other images. So I have this image, I undo everything. I click on Napoli, make it a little bit darker, and then copy the look by synchronizing to all the other images, and then every single image has the same look. And this way I can edit, in this case, 2100 images pretty quickly. I can totally understand those people who say, why do you take 2000 images? But when you are in Spain for 2 weeks and you take your camera everywhere, you can end up with many images. I always take many images, way more than 2000 actually. But this is the selection. And here are the images that I got. And the images we look at now are all taken with the 40mm lens. So I want to give you many images, many examples from a real world experience. Now what I always like to do, especially when I'm in other countries, is to take some self-portraits to have a memory of myself. And here I put the camera on a tripod and the remote control in my hand. And this way I can take pictures of myself easily. We can take a look at the sharpness here. The EOS RP has face detection. So the camera focuses automatically on the face. And you see the sharpness. I'm shooting at f2.8 and you see how sharp the eyes are. I can even get even closer. Can even go to 300. I think there is no doubt that this is really a nice sharp lens. Now you can't open it up further than 2.8, and I can totally understand when somebody says I always shoot at f1.4. If that's your mentality, I'm also in that mentality, but I don't think that this f2.8 is giving me something negative. Instead, because it's so light and small and cheap to get, it's a really nice travel lens. Sometimes I bring all the big camera stuff with me, the 85 1.2 lens, maybe a Hasselblad camera, the big ones from the H3D. And then you have all the serious stuff with you, and you don't want to leave it somewhere on the beach. Then there's all the salt in the air, so all the gear gets kind of damaged in a way when you swap lenses on the beach. And having a cheap combination but also great image quality, I think that's really nice on my mind. When I go into the water and the camera's on the beach, and even now when the camera gets stolen or the bag gets stolen, that doesn't break the bank. I only paid 90 euros for the lens, which is sad to leave a lens if I really like it, but 90 euros is something that's pretty cheap for a full frame camera lens with open aperture, which gives me images like this. I think is really nice. You can pick up a used Canon 6D Mark I or a used Canon 5D and this lens, this 40mm 2.8 lens, and get images like this in terms of image quality. And if you use it for a year, you can sell it actually for the same price, which I think is really beautiful with lenses. Lenses are so price stable. Canon has created 100 million EF lenses. So there are 100 million EF lenses out there. And so you can buy any lens kind of right now, any Canon lens, for much less than they cost new on secondhand market, on eBay for example, and sell it in 2 years for kind of the same price you paid for. I can sell this lens, I paid 90 euros, it cost 190 right now. I can sell it for 90 today, tomorrow, next week, which means that I got it kind of for free for a year or so. And I really love that philosophy, and that's why I never have a problem buying gear that I don't necessarily need. I didn't need the 40mm lens because I have other lenses in that line, but I was going to Spain and I knew that I would be in places where I was many times before, and so I've decided to bring something just to play with, and in this case it was the 40mm lens. It wasn't expensive to get into. I can sell it for the same price. It's small, it's lightweight, it's a great all-rounder, so I only need that one lens and photograph everything here. Can capture some landscape shots, photograph myself, photograph the family, the beach. So it's very versatile. Also get some nice blurry background. It's kind of giving me enough wide angle with 40mm, kind of in a better way than the 50mm lens does. But it also gives me the option to take a portrait where I only have the face, or I only have a detail and the background is blurry. So, and also the sharpness is really great, even at f2.8 wide open. You really see the sharpness coming out. Now I'm not a fan of sharpness, I don't really care, but it really sticks out here in many images that I really see that the eyes are really, really sharp. And I don't care if the lens is sharp, but it helps. I think it's nicer when the lens is sharp than when it's really soft, although that can also make a nice image and character. Now, I always focus on the images, so I want to show you many images so you get a feeling of what you can get with this lens. I don't want to show you and film the lens itself. I think this will tell you enough to look at this, and in any other review you will find a lot of information how the lens looks like, so that is not something that I want to show you. I want to show you the real images that you can get with the lens. In the best way I can, and I think doing it here in Lightroom where you see all the settings. So let's undo this, for example. This is the image straight from the camera. We can choose a preset, maybe this one, or 5, and then this may be the final image. I can copy it now to this image, for example, and have the same look, or to this image and have the same look. Or I choose another look. Maybe we go with Gringo again, or maybe we go with the black and white. Black and white 3. Let's take a look at another image. So if you wonder how to edit images, it's very simple in general. At least that's my approach. I take these images pretty quickly and I edit pretty quickly. Let's undo this image. This is straight from the camera. We can choose a black and white look. Here I have a variety of black and white looks, so let me choose black and white ultimate, make it brighter. Maybe turn down the noise, kind of, the grain, and then that's it. Or I choose a color image, like R5 again, or maybe Washington Gone. And then I have a color image that looks kind of very different than the original. or I click just here and get the same look that I got with these other files. Okay, I think you get an idea of what you can do with this lens. I really like the blurry background. I like that it's really small and lightweight, which makes it perfect for travel photography or when you go on holidays. I like the price. It's very easy to access. 190 euros. New is a nice price point. 90 euros that I paid for it used is a really nice price point. I mean, a full frame lens, prime lens with f2.8 aperture for under 100 euros. I think that's really a beautiful thing. There are not so many camera manufacturers who give you that. Canon is really nice there, I think, with the 51.8, the 40mm 2.8. These are great options if you don't want to spend everything you got just on your camera stuff. If you are trying photography and you don't even know if it is for you, I think this is a great door opener. And even if you feel that photography is not for you, this lens will give you some really nice images. Now, I took these images all by myself. It was taken in COVID in July, I think, July 2020. So we were only with family and didn't meet anybody. So the only people I photographed were what you see now. And I always like to have some photos of myself, because for many years I never had images of myself, which is, I think, most of the time the case with photographers, that you don't have an image of yourself. You take thousands of images of other people, but then afterwards you never are in the image yourself. So you are kind of not part of the journey, although you are actually part of the journey. So I always, wherever I go, I bring a small tripod that fits in my camera bag, the remote control that fits in my hand, even if I have another camera in my hand. And then I just get some images of myself, or with my son, or with my girlfriend, because I love photography, and I think a photographer also deserves some images of himself. And for me, the easiest way is to do it myself. That's just the easiest way. I just need 10, 15, 20 minutes for this, and then I'm fine. If you are interested in doing something like this, I have created a video course where I teach you how to take self-portraits like this, also with presets. So I also edit the images. I also tell you how I take these images, how I work with light and which direction I look, and why I look into that direction and not into the camera, for example. Technical stuff like what equipment do I need, what about being in focus. And if you're interested in that, you will find information in the description below, so you can get some images of yourself like this as well. I think it's a nice way if you want to get on Instagram, for example, have images of yourself. You don't need to ask someone, you just pick out your tripod from your camera bag. Remote control in your hand costs 30 euros, and then you get images like this. Pretty easy. And yeah, I think that's it. We're coming to the end here. Now, it was very important for me just to give you an idea of how the images look like with the 40mm f2.8 lens. Most of them taken on the EOS RP, some of them taken on the 5DSR, the big 50 megapixel camera. These presets work with all cameras, kind of. I don't see any difference between brands or models. So you may not have noticed even the images from the RP and 5DSR. You may not have noticed which were taken with which. But the self-portraits, because of the face detection, they are all on the EOS RP. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an idea here. And I've also made another review about the 40mm lens with other images. So this is just from the Spain holidays. But I think the images are kind of okay to give you an idea of what you can get with this wonderful lens. I think it doesn't always need to be the expensive stuff. I find a lot of joy in having something light and small with me, even with the price of not having f1.2 or f1.4 apertures. But I think on many images here you get blurry background, and I don't think that having more blurry background would be the best idea, because then the lens would also be much bigger and more expensive. Thank you very much.